Spring has sprung, even if it doesn't feel like everywhere in Canada. And if you're using this change in season to try and get yourself motivated for change, well, we can help you out. Today, we're looking at a question that's not always easy to answer. How can you be happier? To answer this, we've invited happiness researcher back, Gillian Mandich. Welcome back to Your Morning.
Thank you. Good morning. It's great to be here.
Okay, before we get started, what is a happiness researcher? Where do you find your research? And what do you do with it?
So my research is in health science, and then my area of specialization is health promotion. And in terms of promoting health, I think that, and I believe that happiness is the key in terms of amplifying all the really good health-promoting things in your life and helping to buffer all the negative, stressful, anxiety-causing things in your life.
Well, there's lots of those out there, so let's get right to some tips. How can we be happier?
So we're going into spring right now, and spring is a time to start getting outside and things are blooming, and we can look at ways to create happiness within our own life. So things are starting to grow, and we can focus on how can we grow ourselves as well. So looking, maybe there's a course you've always wanted to take to learn something new, or maybe you wanted to start painting, or you wanted to paint your living room, or do any activity that really is enhancing yourself. You can also, winter tends to be a period of hibernation where we stay inside and we can sometimes lose contact with close friends or family. So spring is a great time to get out and really build those connections, strengthen those relationships, and maybe reconnect with people we haven't before.
Well, then according to your research, what's the connection between stepping out and trying something new and building happiness?
So especially when we're stepping outside in particular, we're coming into spring with beautiful weather, people that exercise outside are happier, and also they have a more positive boost in energy, and they're more likely to exercise again than those that exercise indoors. So going into spring, it's another good reason to get outside.
It sounds like there's a real correlation between confidence and happiness.
Yes. So there's this sort of cyclical relationship where when you start to focus on your happiness and you build it like a skill, and that's a really key piece too, is that we often think about happiness as something we'd want to go and find or seek and get, when in reality, if you look to the research, what we see is that it's a skill, and you build just like you build a muscle in the gym. So when you practice a skill of confidence, you feel happier as a result.
You make the analogy as well as like making a cake. You never make a cake without a plan.
Right, exactly. So you follow a recipe to figure out how to make a cake. You can create a happiness plan to help cultivate more happiness in your life. Just like if you're focusing on math, you want to learn all the skills along the way.
Right.
Same thing with happiness.
So then if I'm at home going, okay, teach me, Gillian, how do I make a happiness plan? What do I do?
So in terms of learning science, when you focus on making an individualized approach to a plan, it's much more effective than a blanket overall statement for everybody. So what I recommend is make a list of a bunch of things that you think would help make you happier, different skills, and then prioritize them. Pick the top skill only. Focus on that one skill, because when we focus on one thing for a long period of time, it's much more likely to stick than if we try to do a whole bunch of things at once.
Gillian, I have a personal question for you.
Yes.
Are you ever not happy?
Yes,
and what
absolutely.
do you do about it?
I think there's a misconception out there that we need to be happy all the time. And I really believe that experiencing the full spectrum of the human emotion is a key ingredient in a life well lived. And so what I believe is that when you build your happiness skill, you create your plan, you learn to cultivate more happiness in your life, then you spend less time feeling sad or depressed, and your lows aren't as low. But they're still there, because if we don't have those lows, we can't really appreciate the highs as much.
Fair enough. Why is it that some people are rebuffed by too much happiness? They find it irritating sometimes.
Yeah, there's so many. It can be almost like a trigger, right? If you don't have it, then you can kind of push it away. Also, sometimes what we don't have can be scary or intimidating, or it might seem really daunting. But in terms of happiness, what's really exciting is that no matter what you're born with, no matter where you live, no matter where your state of happiness is right now, you can learn skills, you can create that happiness plan for yourself and start to build up that muscle slowly over time.
I like this, kind of like planting a garden.
That's right.
All right.
Perfect time for spring, right?
It's a perfect time to have you here, and you've certainly ended, we're almost at the end of our show, and it's a really happy note to do that on. Thanks, Gillian.
Thank you.